Okay, so recently I updated my system so that I could use resizable bar, my GPU, and in order to do that, I disabled the compatibility support module for my BIOS, and then I did the conversion of the Windows partition from the old style to the GPT style boot. And what I noticed is most things work properly, but my GamePort solution no longer worked, and after literally like 4 days of after work trying to find a solution to the problem, I did finally find the solution, and I'll go over this solution, and then I'll go over everything that led up to it. But for example, the problem is this. So this used to work, and it's this has to be on all the time the joystick is working. This is like a communication basis between the hardware and the VJoy, the virtual driver. And what's supposed to happen here is supposed to find the joystick. It's not finding the joystick. So that's the problem that used to work all the time. So the solution to that problem here is, as an administrator, go over here to run as administrator. Yes. Go up here and just find out where I put it. Myself, I put it in a directory called Win32 app pci. PCI utils. Right. So what I did is I got this thing called PCI utils, and what's really important there is set PCI. And what set PCI lets me do is turn on the PCI device for the GamePort without Windows having anything to do with it. So Windows is not part of that. So this is a good way for, in the past, in the past my thing was supported and it sort of loaded but did nothing, and then I took it over. But in this way I can just sort of make it work without Windows even knowing about. So what over here is set PCI, and for me it's device bus 5, device 1, and the way this works is if I want to inquire, I'll do like vendor ID. Okay, so it's a 1102 is creative, and I can go what's the vendor device, I guess, device ID, that should be 007003. And that means it's the GamePort. That's the creative GamePort. So what I need to do here, now let's take a look at so base address, I'm trying to remember, 0, yes. So it happens to be what I need it to be anyway. It's always been a D041. I don't know who set that up, but in my case, to make it work, I'm inquiring about command, the attribute command. These are some registers that have a name stored as a register, and what you have to do is just say 1. When you want to set something, you say equals 1. So all I have to do here is say command 1. So this is the only thing I've done in my case to make this work is command 1. Other people might have to say base address 0 equals something, but as soon as you say command 1, it connects it to the computer, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say exit and go over here to my thing, my SideWinder thing, and it found it, just like that. So then I go over here, I'm going to move this up here, and whoops, I'm going to go to joy.cpl, right? So this is going to be up all the time, and I take my joystick here, and we'll just go to properties, right? This is a GamePort joystick, it's not USB in any way, and I turn, see that? I'm turning the axis. So in the last part, I tried to make it a single take, but what I messed up with was it went into my picture of myself, so I moved it over here. And here you can see it working this way, right, z-axis, up, down, left, right, these things here, slider, these buttons, the hat, right? This is the position hat. And you have to go into the VJoy configuration and enable the hat. I can't remember the exact thing, but it mostly works, but you have to enable that. And so let's go through all the buttons. There we go. Up, down, blah, blah, blah. There. Yeah, so that works just great. And what happens there is that, again, this was based off of somebody else's thing for some other type of controller. It wasn't one of these, but it's one of these digital style GamePort controllers. And what it does is, I'm using this input 32, my program is able to talk to the GamePort, right? The GamePort has to exist somewhere in the memory of the computer. And this whole input 32 has some issues with certain address range, like an address that's too high, maybe wouldn't work with it. I know that mine does. Mine's 53313, but in theory, if the number keeps going up, I don't know if it's. I think that the actual data type of the address had a limitation. So because of that, you couldn't go above like a certain address. But it's always worked for me, and it's certainly working. But the thing is, I think what's happened in the past is Windows did set it up for me, and what seems to be happening now, let's see, system. Yeah. So what's happening now is ever since I did this this EFI, this EUFI thing, I got this thing here, and what it does is it's saying that it cannot find enough free resources, and like it's basically there, like, oh, we don't need free resources. All you have to do is turn it on. I just send it like command equals 1 and the thing works again. You know, it's 8 bits, it's 8 bytes big. It's like, ooh, I don't know, it's just, it's annoying as hell. Anyway, this device cannot find enough free resources that it can use code 12. And so I was trying to put various drivers on it and whatnot, and it really doesn't matter what driver you put on it because it will never set up this PCI device for some reason. I don't know why, but this has always worked for me because I've always had an Audigy. I like having an Audigy in my computer so I can do all these neat things with sound. And the Audigys than before, you could at least get a ribbon cable to have a GamePort on it. And so these cards, I know the live cards, for example, all had a GamePort, but basically I got this free joystick, and I had these cards with the GamePort, and I assumed I could use it, and the support for it stopped in Windows XP, right? So I made this thing that talked directly to the hardware, you know, it's not using Windows, and that's how I got it to work, where, you know, I'm using this program, this is talking to the hardware, it's sending it to this this virtual GamePort or virtual game controller program that you just sort of send it information from your program, and it becomes it's like the officially implemented driver for the operating system. So that's works one more day.